Hello and welcome to Categories TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and our guest today is guitarist Kris Keller from a band Black Note Graffiti. Now, Kris, before I even checked any of the band's music out, I got to tell you, when the publicist sent me the press release on the band, I just fell in love with the name. I know that's one of the hardest things is to come up with a name, but you guys came up with such a great original sounding name. Let's hear the story behind that.
Sure, there's lots of stories about it, but basically, it's all about being black notes on a page
Oh, okay,
and
yeah,
being that
yeah.
graffiti, and that's kind of how we came up with that.
And Black Note, and maybe even graffiti, I could being a metal band kind of makes sense, you know. Just kind of like
Exactly,
the little black dot, everybody's
exactly.
checking out. How long has the band been together?
Well, well, we kind of switched members, but the original band started. I guess it's been since 2017 or 18.
Okay.
Something like that. And then we had kind of a member change. We added Gabby, the other vocalist and keyboard player, and so the band's kind of evolved.
So let me ask you about
And
that. Originally, did you just have one singer? Or did you always have two singers in the band?
well, I sang with Ricardo was the original vocalist and the other guitar player,
Okay.
and then my brother's the drummer, Kurt, and then Adam is the bass player. So in Adam and Kurt and I kind of we played together since we were kids.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So and then Ricardo kind of jumped in and he started singing and played guitar. And then so we did it. We did two records like that. And then Gabby joined the band, and then she kind of evolved into singing with Ricardo, which worked out really good because they do these harmonies, and she brought the keyboard aspect, and they wrote really well together. And so we had this really solid rhythm section
Wow.
because Kurt, my brother, which some people we say, you guys are brothers, that's cheating, which is funny.
Yeah.
But so me and my brother, guitar, drummer, and then Adam, which we grew up with, the bass player, and then we brought in the Ricardo and Gabby, and they kind of put this on top, the vocals and this other guitar, which actually worked out really sweet. And so we get this like we're playing a hard rock metal, but
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time we're doing like female vocals with harmonies, and it's really it creates this whole kind of a different spin
Now let me ask
on.
you, when you got
Yeah.
Gabby, or when you set out to get another singer in the band, um, did you initially have it in mind like we're gonna get a female singer? Or was it just a case of all the singers that audition, she's the one you like the best? Talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't like that at all. We had a singer. Ricardo was a great singer, great
Sure.
songwriter, great guy, and we wanted to add a keyboard player and somebody who could do harmonies with singing.
Great. Yeah.
And so it kind of evolved, and it was an emotional switch. I mean, going from switching roles in the bands and things like that. So it was kind of a hard thing, but everyone pulled together, and whoever did the best part the best way, that's the way we recorded and wrote songs from then on. And then
That's
I think
cool.
that's the way to do it. And so
Yeah.
we get a better product, and everyone working together in that way, it was pretty awesome. It really worked out awesome.
The reason I ask is, I'm a fan a lot of times of bands that have more than one singer. Bands like Kiss, the Eagles, Beatles, just to name a few. Because it gives the band a very different sound where you're not getting the same guy voice all the time. Just kind of changes it up a little. I think when you're listening to this stuff.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. It creates another dimension for the band, and it has another possibilities to go other ways. And there obviously there's a lot of great bands with one singer, and that's what they
Sure,
do, and
sure.
that's the
It
thing.
just kind
But
of depends on the band we're talking about. But I do agree with you. It gives it that extra kind of layer, something just a little different niche. A little different. Now, what's it like? Like you said, you've been playing with your brother all your life, but what's it like being in a band with him? And I was curious, Are you older? Or is he older?
I'm older, but we're close. He's 2 years younger than me, and so yeah, we grew up loving music, playing music, and in the younger years, it was tough, be playing with a brother. We there was a lot of fighting and all that stuff, but in the end, you grind it out, and it's pretty cool when you can be in a musical situation
Yeah.
with a family member. It's pretty special.
And it sounds like, the whole band is pretty tight as a unit from what you've been saying, but I was curious, as far as other band members go, ever any of that, the two brothers that are at it again, or of course they always agree with one another, you know, any of that going
Yeah,
on?
it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, yeah,
It's exactly the opposite. We, we we disagree a lot, but as we matured through, you know, a lot of, I mean, we did records in LA and
yeah,
played in New York and all that together. So
yeah.
we evolved through time and learned to work together and communicate better. So it's made our relationship better, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
I
pretty
imagine
cool.
you growing up together too, and always being around one another too. It's got to be a great feeling because you guys are that close. You know each other, and there are times like, oh, that guy again. I'm always around him, but you guys know each other so well, and then you hear stuff like same type of things like with the Van Halens, or even Chris and Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes. Those guys really got to where they really hate each other. They could even be in the same band together. They didn't speak for years. They just recently kind of made up again and are talking. And then you look at some like the Van Halens where it's very sad, what happened to Eddie dying the way he did, cancer, we all have to go. But like you look and see how not only did Alex lose his kid brother, but he lost his best friend so much to the point that he sold all his equipment. He can't even imagine getting up on stage and ever performing without his brother. I mean, it's obvious, how close those guys were.
Yeah, and I totally agreed with that. It would be very strange at this point
Yeah,
to switch like that.
yeah. And well, now, Kris, let's get into the music because you guys definitely are a metal band, and I was checking out some of the videos now. I think the latest single is "Place You Lie." That's a pretty kind of heavy song, and the video really professionally shot. It looks like something you would have seen on MTV back in the day. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. We had a me and Gabby actually we kind of I'll step it back a little bit. We
Sure.
we both like this particular producer, Josh Schroeder, and so we kind of brought it up and said, "Oh man, that'd be great to work with him." So that all kind of worked out, and then this videographer, Wombat Fire, who has worked with some huge names, and he produced the video and flew in from Atlanta, and we did the video in Detroit in a studio, and he was just a great guy. Him and his wife, and they came in. And the cool thing about this video is we didn't shoot any of the video with all the members together. He
Amazing.
shot, yeah, he shot every musician separately for several takes throughout the song, and then pieced the whole thing together, which made it kind of cool and kind of unique in that way. So it was pretty awesome how it
Yeah,
worked
because
out.
watching the video, you'd almost think that you guys are in the same room, but that's how good it looks. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how he did it. So we're like, he's describing to us when we met him what he's gonna do, and we're like, oh, that's really weird, but okay. And we did it, and it worked out really great. But yeah, check him out, Wombat Fire. He's an amazing. He's got amazing videos. He does artwork and all kinds of stuff. He's really cool.
so that's the latest single. I was curious, you guys, what are you working on? Like, have you got a full length album or EP that's been released? Are you working towards that currently?
Yeah, we did a full record with Josh Schroeder, and we're gonna release the second EP hopefully next month, and then the entire record, which is I think 11 songs, we're going to release before the end of the year, and we're
Nice.
releasing it with a label, Golden Robot Records, out of
Hey, great.
Australia.
Wow, great
Yep.
label to be on. I mean, I know the Steve Riley's LA Guns are getting ready release their
Exactly.
long-awaited album. I think
Yep.
Faster Pussycat's on there, so you guys are in some pretty good company. Share with us, tell the story. How did you hook up with Golden Robot Records? Did they approach you, or was it a matter of you guys sending them a tape? or CD, whatever
Well,
you do these
yeah,
days?
we finished the record, and then our manager, David, Decipher is his company. He was shopping it around and stuff, and we got some offers, and nothing that we were really enthused about.
Yeah.
And then we got an offer from Golden Robot that David was shopping, and we liked the deal. The people that work there are really cool, really nice, professional,
Mm.
and so we decided to pull the trigger, and we signed the whole record on it. So the entire record will be released through them this year.
Oh, go! Wow. That congratulations on that. I mean, I didn't even realize they were based out of Australia, but and that's pretty amazing in itself. I mean, first of all, Kris, not unless like you're a mainstream rock artist. A lot of artists these days don't even have a record deal, or it might be a digital deal or something. So the fact that you guys could get on a label like that, that's pretty cool,
Yeah, yeah, it worked out really good, and this record, this record was kind of cool because what happened was we finally got the lineup of the musicians in this band where I
Uh,
think is really good, as far as Gabby joining and Ricardo and her working together and the whole band kind of coming together. And so in working with the producer Josh Schroeder, if you look him up,
sure.
he's got a really good record of really great bands, really great records, and he's a great guy, great producer. So everything kind of came together, and so putting it out with Golden Robot, which they have LA offices and New York office, I think
Sure,
too,
yeah, but
but I think they're based out of Australia. But yeah, so it worked out really
I
well.
mean, and that's not a that's kind of that's not such a strange thing these days. That when I'm talking about the fact that even a lot of American bands, they get picked up by labels, in Germany or throughout Europe, and it's just kind of the way things are done. And oftentimes, I don't know why, but those labels they promote the stuff a hell lot better than the American labels. Even if you've ever played overseas, I get told by bands that all the kids over in Europe they really love their rock bands. They really get behind these bands, and I don't know what it is, but that's a great thing.
No, and you're totally right. And I've had conversations with bands about this, and the thing is about the states, and a lot of people don't realize that since we live in the states,
Mm.
is that being like in Detroit or Chicago or LA or cities like that, we have live music all around us all the
Mm.
time. I mean, you can see live bands pretty much, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Sure.
Where you go to Europe, and it's not like that.
Special
So when
occasions,
bands,
yeah.
yeah, when bands come through those countries, and they like, this is awesome. This is it. I mean, like, it's a great thing. So the energy is I'm sure amazing, which I would love to tour, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
something
People
like
listening to
that.
this, they may be surprised to hear me say this, but like I live in Long Beach, California, which isn't too far from Los Angeles, where everybody
Yep.
thinks, oh, LA, that's the place. But like I got to drive 45 minutes to Hollywood for the nearest record store. But yet you go to one of the other 49 states, they have record stores, probably a little more even than they do here in LA. It's just kind of amazing thing. Vinyl's making a comeback. CDs are kind of I don't know. Somebody told me recently that they heard they're going to start putting CD players again in cars. We'll see, but
Wow.
I'm an old school guy in the sense that I love to have something, a CD or a vinyl or album to look at the cover, the beautiful artwork. You can actually hold it in your hand, and as an artist, that must be a great thing to be able to say, "Hey, this is what we did."
Oh, I'm totally with you on that, 100%. I'm vinyl junkie, and it's an expensive hobby,
Sure,
but
sure.
it's amazing. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's in your hands. You feel it, you look at it, you read it, you flip it, open it, and you're part of the deal. You play it. It's a great. So I'm totally with you on that. And yeah, we do really well on shows selling CDs too now.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, all that stuff's kind of coming back. We haven't gotten to the cassette tape thing again, but who knows? Yeah.
There is a label, Rat Pat Records here in America. They're a little indie label, and some of their recent stuff was coming out on cassette, which is kind of like I think a little niche thing they have, but it's kind of interesting, to see that stuff. And like you said, I think when I was growing up, vinyl, like you could go to Tower Records or, the local record store we had back then, Sam Goody or whatever it was, and you could get like an LP for like $8.99 or $10 or whatever it was back then. But now, like you said, it costs a lot more because I think they only got one place where the records are made, and it costs a lot of money to print those up. But what I've seen lately, like yeah, I think I would be willing to pay like $30 for Alice Cooper's Billion Dollar Baby that recently was reissued, and because they put together a real nice package. It's got this
Yep.
cool gatefold and just cool pictures and everything. To me, it's like anything in life. I'm willing to pay a little extra if I get a real nice product. Not
Oh, I
and
totally agree. I
at the
totally
same
agree
time,
with
I'm not
that.
going to pay $500 for it, but I'm willing to pay a decent price, for a quality product.
Yep, I totally agree, and I've done it. I've done it. I've paid $40 or $50 for a record, but yeah, if it's a really cool thing and you're into it, it's a whole experience.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, Kris, as far as Gabby joining the band, when you guys performed the older material, I was curious. Now that you got the two singers in the band, or if the songs kind of delivered in a way that you always kind of heard them in your head, or the way you always thought they should be performed.
Well, that's actually a really good question. Um, some of the songs Ricardo would still sing, and some of the songs that Ricardo originally wrote with the band and sung, she took on, with Ricardo's blessing.
Cool. Yeah.
And they'll sing them together and do harmonies with it. So it creates a whole nother vibe, but it's like revisiting an old song, but
Yeah.
in a new way. So it put this
Yeah.
whole refreshing aspect on some of those old songs. And so, I saw a interview with the artist Beck
Sure.
once, and he said, if I can get one song out of every album that I do that I can play live, then
Yeah.
it was worth doing the record. So he's done whatever it is, 10 records or whatever.
Sure.
So he takes one or two songs from every record and he's got this amazing set
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
of
Set catalog of.
live music. So I
Yeah.
thought, that's kind of cool. That's kind of what we're doing. We're still playing songs from our first record, and Gabby's singing some of those. And so we're taking one or two songs from that record, one or two songs from the next record, all the way up. And so we have this library of music, and it's really worked out really well.
And I love the fact when bands do that, because bands do it one of two ways. Like, well, we get tired of playing the same old thing, so we're gonna do more of the newer stuff or the stuff off the new album. I like when you kind of can do it all, and I think it's cool that a band like Black Note Graffiti, you add this new vocalist, you have like that extra dimension, as you say, um, and it gives it a different sound, and it's cool. It sounds like your fans have been very accepting of that, and it's no like backlash. Hey, the band sounds too different. I think it's great when fans can kind of listen to the music and have open ears, and not prejudge anything.
Yeah, you're totally right. And to see a band evolve in that like we did, I think it's refreshing. It's good. It's all art, it's all perspective,
Yeah.
and it's worked out really well.
Yeah, and I was curious, Kris, as far as you and your brother, obviously you said he's like 2 years younger than you, so it's not a huge age difference. But I was curious if, as far as playing music, did you start playing the guitar first, and because of that, did he kind of follow you around and want to do it, or did you guys like start playing music together around the same time?
Well, I started playing guitar when I was I don't know, maybe 8 or 9, and then right after that he started playing drums.
Okay.
So it was cool because then we could actually, instead of having like two guitars, or
Yeah, yeah.
we had a somewhat of a band.
Mm.
And he played with other people too, more his age at that time, playing drums. So,
Mm.
but we still played together, so it worked out pretty cool. But yeah, it was kind of the brother thing. But yeah, I started playing guitar first and took lessons. It was weird though, when I couldn't play at all. Obviously when you're learning,
Yeah,
when you're 9 or 10, it's like, you don't know what you're doing. But then all of a sudden, and any player probably went through the
yeah,
same
sure.
thing. You come to a point where you switch and you're like, okay, I get it. And then
Yeah,
you can actually play.
yeah.
And when that switch happened, it was like, I think my Kurt saw that and it was like, okay. And he kind of went through the same thing. And then we just kept playing together. And then, you know, we did record and then a couple records in LA, and we recorded with Kid Rock's producer, recorded with Sponge's singer in Detroit. So we got to do some cool stuff and meet some really amazing artists and talk to those artists and find out, you know, what did you do to write these hits? I mean, what was the difference of this artist, and what did, you know, these different aspects that made songs famous? And it was really awesome to work with people like that and hear their stories.
I bet. And you know, you always hear people talk about the rhythm section of the band, you know, the drummer and the bass player having to, you know, being tight and having to play together. But then you look at guys like Eddie and Alex Van Halen, you know, kind of like you and your brother, guitar and drums, and you always heard the Van Halens talking about, you know, even though it wasn't a bass and drummer thing, they knew what the other one's going to play. They had this special connection. You and your brother seem to have that, or you kind of.
Yeah, it's like every time that we'll talk, we already know what we're going to say, so we kind of get upset with each other about why are we talking at all, because we already know the answer. So exactly.
And you're obviously involved with the songwriting as well, Kris. But I was curious, when you start writing, do you typically get involved with the singers, or like when you guys go in to record, let's say a song, have they pretty much written the lyrics, or maybe do most of the songs start off with, you know, you riffing? What's the typical approach to songwriting?
Our typical approach is, we usually write the music first. And then put the vocals on it. And I was just talking about this with Gabby. And Gabby likes to kind of come up with the melodies, but not the words on top of the music first. And Ricardo, a lot of times, will come to the band and he'll have kind of a full idea of what he wants to do with the song. But then the rhythm section will kind of cut that down.
Sure.
And I don't know if he's always happy about it, but I think that in the end he is. I mean, we kind of all work together to make what we think is a good product.
And now let me ask you. You know, you look at a song like "Enter Sandman" by Metallica. I've heard James Hetfield talk about that's the riff that's going to pay for us. Now, like when you're writing, I'm curious, like you ever get in that headspace that I want to create a riff like that, or you know, something like "Smoke on the Water," where you hear, you know, people might get sick of it, but they know what it is. Have you ever wanted to write that riff, or do you think you've written a riff like that in your repertoire that kind of gets in people's head, but it's a good song, you know, because of the riff?
That's a great question. When I was younger, when I was playing with Adam and Kurt, when we were younger, we'd write these super complicated songs, and they'd have, you know, a ton of parts and all, you know, progressive rock and completely out of control. And then as I got older, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like the normal person, they don't want to think about it too hard. They just want to have a good time with rock and roll.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're saying, where it's like you still want to hold on to who you are and play what you believe in, but at the same time, people that are listening to it need to get it quickly, especially today. They need to get it right now, because
people might laugh when I say this, but like even YouTube has kind of figured out, you know, as far as people monetizing stuff. I mean, they got it down to science as far as, I mean, you can't even get it monetized unless people watch the video for so many minutes. Because a lot of people, like you say, it's clickbait. They just click it on for a second and then that doesn't do nothing, you know. It's just they got to figure it out. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. And it's like that with publishing too, with royalties with TV and movies. It's blocked out like that, where like if it goes past 10 seconds, you get paid more money. If it goes past 20 seconds, you get paid more money. If it goes past 30 seconds, so a lot of these unknown acts, they'll get like this 5-second little split of their song in this piece of this commercial, because they don't have to pay more once it goes past that many seconds. So it's crazy. It's all time, and it's all intellectual property.
And then like I laugh, like the way Facebook does that too. I mean, it's kind of it's a good thing. It's a double-edged sword, as they say, in the sense that like I'm always trying to promote, interviews and stuff I do when I post them, and like I get a message like, you posted this too many times. You're trying to get too many likes, or okay, well, isn't that the point?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So true.
yeah. So it's where are you guys based out of, Kris?
Well, we're based out of Metro Detroit. We rehearse and have a studio in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is like a college town.
Troy Rock City, Ted Nugent country. Yeah.
Yep. Ted Nugent Country and MC5 was
MC5,
originally in
yeah,
it.
I can't forget those
Yep.
guys. Wow, Wayne Kramer, I always loved his riffs.
Yep.
Uh,
Iggy Pop was Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor too. The Stooges,
yeah,
they
so
were
what's the
here.
music scene like there these days? And is there much of a metal scene there where you guys are from?
There's a couple really good clubs still in Detroit, and so the metal scene is still there, and a lot of touring bands like to come through Detroit because they get paid. Because people in Detroit like to go to shows. They love live music. So there's Fox Theater, Fillmore, St. Andrews. There's these venues that are two, three, four, 5,000, and they're filling them, and
Oh
it's
wow,
downtown. And now they have the Detroit Tigers, the Detroit Lions. They're all downtown too. So
wow.
the downtown Detroit has really grown up. It's got kind of a bad rap, but it's gotten a lot better through the years. And it is, the rock city, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, and I love the fact that you're. I want to touch base on this. You mentioned it earlier with the top interview about wanting to add keyboards to the band, and that's cool because like you probably heard the term before. You know how they say keyboards suck. They don't belong in rock music. I don't totally. I mean, I don't really agree with that. I mean, I tell anybody, okay, you think keyboards suck? Uh, Listen to what John Lord did, like in Deep Purple, and then you tell me that, with that Hammond organ and stuff like that. And that's not what this is.
Exactly.
But I dig that this is a metal band, and you can still sound metal and have keyboards. People, need to realize that.
Yeah, and Gabby's written several songs on the new record with keyboard.
Yeah.
And so it's all about how you lay it down and how you perform it and how
Even
it
a band like
lays into the song.
Sabotage has keyboards. Bon Jovi. I mean,
Yeah.
Bon Jovi's a little more pop oriented, but they're able to make it work. I mean, most people don't may fail to realize a lot of people write songs on the keyboard, on the piano. That's how a lot of people write their stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, it's all about how the delivery. I mean, that's everything, and how it's put together in the end. But yeah, in this record, we did a lot of keyboard on the background of all the songs, and it really made it a lot thicker. It made the whole record really thick, working with Josh Schroeder on it, and Gabby pretty much played keys on every song. So
And I don't think
cool.
people realize how big of it, how important like the background vocal sound of a band could be. I mean, you go and listen to the classic Van Halen albums. I mean, Michael Anthony doing what he was doing. I mean,
Oh, killing it. Yeah,
that was the
hitting
sound.
those high notes,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally agree. I mean, yeah, you're right. People don't realize it, but that's what makes that music shine. That's what makes that over the top, that cherry on the top. That's what
There you
that's what
go.
he was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So do you guys have you had a chance to play live much outside your local area? Like, have you gone to other states and played?
Yeah, we went to Austin and played South by Southwest a few times, and we did a really cool festival several times called Mile of Music.
Okay.
And that was in Appleton, Wisconsin, and that was a great experience, great festival. We had a great time there, and we've got a festival coming up that we're playing. It's a new festival called Havoc Fest.
Okay.
It's in Jackson, Michigan, and the band Kitty, who is back together, is the
Wow.
headlining band for
I
that.
see
Yeah,
you guys on a bill with them. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. So that's coming up August 23rd and 24th, and you can see tickets, and you can get a discount with off of our socials by clicking on that stuff. You can get tickets for that. But that's in Jackson, Michigan, August 23rd and 24th.
Wow. Now let me ask you, Kris, before we wrap this up, a few more things. I was curious, as far as being a guitar player. You talked a little bit about the fact you started playing when you were around 8. And that's probably why you've gone to this level that you have, because it's interesting. Sometimes I interviewed a guy once that he told me I just taught myself how to play the guitar like 2 or 3 years ago, and the way he plays and shreds, you think that he's been playing all his life. It's just amazing. But again, getting back to you, I think it's maybe why you got to this level. In fact, you've been playing since you were 8 years old. So I mean, that's a long time to be playing, and you kind of mastered your craft, as they say. But I was curious, when you were 8 years old and starting out, what was it about what drew you to the guitar? Like, why was that your instrument of choice rather than you becoming a front man or the bass player or the drummer like your brother?
Well, I guess first thing is I can play drums, not that great, but I can play drums and bass somewhat,
Yeah.
and I can not sing that good. So I knew I wasn't going to be a singer.
Okay, you know what you couldn't do, and you knew. You said that's what I think.
Well, I can, and Ricardo told me this when we first started. He said, "You can sing all you want. You just have to practice." And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought, God, I'd never thought about it like that. So it
yeah,
was like he gave me this hope, and like, I can do it. You have to practice. But some people are just gifted in certain things.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
knew that I wasn't a gifted
Sure, sure.
vocalist. So, but as far as like why I play guitar, I don't know. I was listening to Black Sabbath and Ted Nugent and
Wow.
Led Zeppelin and all that, and then me and my brother were listening to Pantera when their first record came out. That was like
Yeah,
our first CD we bought. We're
yeah.
playing Pantera and just
Oh, I
like,
love those guys.
and
Yeah.
Phil was from Toledo, Ohio, which
Wow.
is right across the border from us in Michigan. So they'd play Toledo Sports Arena. So we'd go down there when we were kids and watch them play down there. And we just got the first CD and we were kids, and it was amazing. So it's like you see that energy, and it was seeing the song Walk and all that stuff. I mean, it was amazing. So yeah, so I don't know. I just grabbed on guitar, and
Wow.
eventually I
And of
just
course, Tony Iommi, what a great guy to be influenced by. I mean, he's a riff master, and of course, everybody knows he plays the way he does because of getting his fingers cut off and the tips of them,
exactly.
and he's the one created that metal sound. And so I understand listening to your stuff how you could be influenced by a guy like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, and supposedly, I don't know if this is true, but that's why they tuned down,
Yeah, yeah,
because his
supposedly.
hand was screwed up, right? So
Yeah.
they tuned down to this, and any guitar player, once you start tuning down. And here's a funny story. We're
Sure,
getting to the
sure.
end, but I'll make it quick. So our band now plays, all of our songs are written in open C.
Wow, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's a strange tuning. It's kind of like a blues, almost a blues tuning, like open G or open E, but it's open C. And what happened was I had this acoustic guitar that was sitting. I love guitars, so I
Sure,
have
sure.
guitar, a lot of guitars. I had this acoustic guitar that was sitting in my guitar room for a long time in the corner, and it just detuned way out, like after a year. And I
Wow.
picked it up one day, and it was so out of tune. It was in a drop C, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And this is pre Black Note Graffiti.
Wow, wow.
So from then on, and I meet Ricardo, and I'm like, you think you could play songs in an open C? He's like, oh, no problem. He
Oh,
didn't even
wow.
flinch. I'm like, sweet. So all of our records are written and performed in open C.
Black Note. Wow, wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
exactly. So
Wow.
that's another, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's strange, but
It's a great
what,
story. Wow, wow, Kris. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And, another great guitar great I always loved was Richie Blackmore, and I heard him doing an interview once where they were asking about, oh, Smoke in the Water. That's the ultimate riff. Everybody just loves that song, and he's like, I played it so many times though. He's like, I like the song. It's not my favorite. I like it though. And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
wow, that's the
It's
riff.
funny, and it's like the simplest thing, but
Yeah,
like we were talking about, that's what it's about. It's
yeah,
about, people don't want to overthink it. The regular person, they just want to have a good time and understand it.
yeah.
And you get out of work, you just want to turn up the radio and rock out, and that's it. I don't. And some musicians and some people, they want to
Yeah.
go crazy into some of the old Rush albums and all that, where it's all progressive rock, and that's cool too. But when it comes down to it, people just want to let loose, have a good time, and get it. They want
Yeah,
to
like
get it
even
right now.
Tony Iommi, I don't think he wrote that stuff because he thought it out. That's just what kind of came out. the way he plays, you know. He does what he does.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they were coming off, supposedly they were coming off war times and all that, so they
Yeah.
did, you know, really heavy stuff. And then I heard another cool thing is Iron Maiden took over their rehearsal space.
Wow. Wow. How cool is that?
Yeah, so Black Sabbath, they got big, moved out of there, and Iron Maiden moved into Black Sabbath's rehearsal space and wrote all their original first records.
Oh, how cool is that? You know, Kris, I
Yeah,
really enjoyed doing this and talking today. Like I said, you're welcome back anytime, man. I'm going to continue to follow you guys. Maybe when you have another video or something, or the album does come out, we'll have you come back on. So I'm going to try to get this interview we just did up by this Thursday. Once I get that confirmed, I'll of course let you guys know. Feel free to share it, okay? And thanks again for doing this. We'll stay in touch, okay?
absolutely. And thank you for moving the time and working all that out. I really appreciate you. And
Of
it was
course.
a great interview. This went really well. I really do appreciate your
Oh
time.
yeah, anytime. And if you ever want to come back with your brother or any of the other band members, we can make that happen too.
I would love that. I look forward to it.
Hey, take care, Kris. Bye bye.
Yeah. See you, Jason. Take care.